Your driver's license can be suspended in 2026, even if you've never had an accident, never gotten a ticket, and never broken a traffic law in your life. And the most dangerous part is this: you may not realize it's happened until it's already too late. No flashing warning, no police officer knocking on your door, no second chance, one quiet mistake, one missed notice, one automated flag in the system, and suddenly you're driving illegally without even knowing it. This isn't a prediction. It's already happening across the country. And in 2026, the system becomes even stricter. What most drivers don't understand is that license suspensions are no longer tied only to bad driving. They're tied to paperwork, automation, deadlines, and systems that don't care how long you've been driving or how clean your record is. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what triggers these suspensions, which rule is catching the most drivers right now, and what you must do to protect yourself before 2026 arrives. But to understand how we got here, you need to understand what changed behind the scenes, because the real reason licenses are being suspended has nothing to do with reckless driving. Right now, three powerful forces are colliding, and together they've permanently changed how DMVs operate. The first is demographic. Tens of millions of Americans are entering retirement age, and older drivers are now the fastest growing group on the road. By the end of this decade, every baby boomer will be over 65, and states are under pressure to monitor risk more closely than ever before. The second force is automation, and this is where everything shifts. DMV systems are no longer slow, manual, or human reviewed. Insurance databases, traffic enforcement systems, medical reporting, and license records are now linked together in real time. That means same-day enforcement with no human judgment involved. The system doesn't pause to consider your history, it doesn't weigh intent, it doesn't ask questions, it simply sees a missed requirement and applies the penalty automatically. The third force is financial. Insurance payouts from crashes are skyrocketing, and states are responding the only way they know how: by tightening oversight, increasing compliance checks, and relying on automated penalties instead of education or warnings. When you combine these three forces, something important disappears: forgiveness. 20 years ago, a mistake usually triggered a reminder, then another letter, maybe even a courtesy call. Today, you get one notice. If you don't respond in time, the system moves forward without you. No appeal, no grace period, no conversation. And that's why so many responsible drivers are being blindsided right now. Not because they're unsafe, but because they didn't realize the rules had changed. Hi, I'm Sophia. I break down DMV changes, driving laws, and license rules using verified information from state transportation departments and legislative records without hype and without guesswork. And today, I'm walking you through the 5 changes rolling out in 2026 that are quietly suspending licenses across the country. I'm not starting with the most obvious one, and I'm not starting with age-based rules either. I'm starting with the change that is affecting more drivers right now than any other, including people who have done everything right for decades. This is the rule that's catching people completely off guard because it doesn't feel like a violation until the damage is already done. Many states now monitor your insurance status continuously through electronic verification systems. That means your insurance company and the DMV are connected in real time. If your coverage lapses, even briefly, the system doesn't wait. It doesn't send a warning first. It doesn't ask questions. It automatically flags your vehicle and the consequences begin immediately. Most drivers hear this and think, that doesn't apply to me. I've had the same insurance company for years. But that assumption is exactly why so many responsible drivers are getting suspended. What's actually happening is far more mundane and far more dangerous. Your credit card expires and the automatic payment fails. You forget to update it. The confirmation email goes to an address you don't check anymore. 2 days later, the DMV system registers an insurance lapse. Your vehicle registration is suspended automatically. A notice is mailed, but by the time it reaches you, the suspension is already active. At that point, you're legally prohibited from driving, even though you haven't changed your behavior at all. And here's where the consequences escalate fast. To reinstate your registration, you must restore insurance coverage, pay reinstatement fees, and update your records. If you're pulled over during that window, even for something minor, your car can be impounded on the spot. That means towing fees, storage fees, and now a suspension on your driving record. Insurance companies see that suspension and adjust your risk profile. Your premiums increase not because you caused an accident, but because the system recorded a lapse. 10 or 15 years ago, drivers could go uninsured for weeks before anyone noticed. Today, in many states, the DMV knows within 48 hours. Penalties range from fines of $100 to $500, reinstatement fees, registration suspension, and in some cases, license suspension as well. All triggered automatically. This is why this rule is so dangerous. It doesn't punish reckless drivers. It punishes administrative mistakes. And once the system flags you, fixing it takes time, money, and documentation. So here's what you need to do to protect yourself. First, use automatic payments with a backup method. If your insurance allows it, link payments directly to your bank account instead of a credit card. Credit cards expire, bank accounts don't. Second, check your insurance status monthly. Log into your account or call your agent and confirm your policy is active. It takes 5 minutes and it prevents months of damage. Third, when switching insurance providers, make sure there is absolutely no gap in coverage. The new policy should start before the old one ends, not the day after. Even a single day without coverage can trigger suspension in some states. And fourth, update your contact information everywhere. Make sure both your insurance company and the DMV have your current mailing address and email. Most suspensions still begin with a mailed notice. If it goes to the wrong address, the suspension still happens anyway. This one rule alone is responsible for more unexpected license problems than any other change happening right now. And the reason it's so effective is because it feels invisible until the consequences appear. But as serious as this is, the next change is even more surprising because it doesn't come from the DMV or the police. It comes from someone you trust. The next change surprises people the most because it doesn't start with law enforcement, a traffic stop, or even the DMV. It starts in a doctor's office. Something most drivers don't realize is that in several states, physicians are allowed and sometimes required by law to report medical conditions that could affect driving ability. This isn't about punishment, and it isn't about taking independence away. It's about liability and safety in an automated system. Conditions that are commonly flagged include vision impairment, seizure disorders, loss of consciousness, severe cognitive decline, and diabetes that is poorly controlled. In states with mandatory reporting laws, once that report is submitted, the DMV doesn't debate it. It triggers a process automatically. Here's how people get caught. You go in for a routine appointment. You've been managing a medical condition for years and driving without issues. Your doctor notes something in your file that technically meets the reporting threshold. A report is submitted as part of standard procedure. A few weeks later, the DMV sends you a letter requesting medical documentation, a vision test, or a fitness to drive questionnaire. You receive the letter, but life is busy. You feel fine. You've been driving safely for decades. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. 30 days pass. The system doesn't wait. Your license is suspended administratively. No second notice, no warning phone call, just a suspension entered into the system. And the danger is that most people don't realize it's happened. Then one small moment changes everything. You roll slightly through a stop sign or you're pulled over for a minor equipment issue. The officer runs your license and tells you it's suspended. Now you're no longer dealing with a medical review. You're dealing with driving on a suspended license, which in many states is a criminal offense. Fines can start at $500. Court costs follow. Reinstatement fees stack up. In some cases, there's even the possibility of jail time. All of it triggered not by unsafe driving, but by a missed deadline on a piece of paperwork. This doesn't mean your doctor was trying to take your license away. In most cases, the DMV simply wants confirmation that you can drive safely. But here's the rule you must understand. If you don't respond, the system assumes non-compliance and moves forward automatically. So, what protects you here is not fear, but speed and communication. If you have a medical condition that could affect driving, talk to your doctor early. Ask whether it's reportable in your state and what steps you need to take to remain compliant. If the DMV sends you a notice requesting information, respond immediately. Gather the documentation, complete the forms, and submit everything before the deadline. Being proactive gives you options. Ignoring the notice guarantees a suspension. Now, the first two changes can affect drivers of any age, but the next one is aimed squarely at a specific group. And if you're in that group, the renewal process you've relied on for years may no longer apply to you. Across the country, age-based license renewal rules have quietly tightened. In many states, once you pass a certain age, renewing your license is no longer automatic. Online renewals are restricted, mail renewals are eliminated, in-person visits and vision tests become mandatory, and the age thresholds vary by state, which makes this even harder to spot if you're not actively looking for it. Here's how this catches people off guard. You're in your early 70s. Your license expires in a few months. You try to renew online the same way you always have. The system rejects your application because of an age-based requirement you didn't know existed. Now you're forced to schedule an in-person DMV visit, often with long wait times. You take a vision test in unfamiliar lighting, under pressure, maybe on a bad day. You struggle slightly, not enough to fail outright, but enough to trigger a follow-up evaluation. Suddenly, your routine renewal turns into a review process. You're issued a temporary extension with restrictions. Daylight-only driving, medical clearance forms, additional appointments, delays you didn't plan for. And all of this could have been avoided with preparation. Failing a vision test doesn't automatically mean you lose your license. In many cases, it simply means corrective lenses, restrictions, or a retest. The goal is safety, not punishment. But the system doesn't adjust for last-minute surprises. That's why the most important step you can take is preparation. Take out your driver's license and check the expiration date. If it says 2026, go to your state DMV website and look up renewal requirements for your age. Don't assume anything. Write down what's required. Set a reminder 60 days before expiration. If you wear glasses, schedule an eye exam now, not after the DMV asks for one. Preparation gives you control. Waiting puts you at the mercy of a system that doesn't pause. And just when people think they understand the risks, there's another change catching drivers completely off guard, even when they believe they're being careful. It happens at red lights, in parking lots, and in moments people assume don't count. The next change is catching people at red lights, in parking lots, and in moments when they believe they're being responsible. Distracted driving enforcement has expanded far beyond texting, and most drivers haven't adjusted their habits to match the new rules. In many states, distracted driving now includes holding your phone, checking notifications, scrolling through music or navigation apps, and interacting with any application while the vehicle is running. And here's the detail that surprises almost everyone. If your engine is on, even if you are completely stopped at a red light, touching your phone can be illegal. People assume that stopping makes it safe. The law doesn't see it that way anymore. Penalties escalate quickly. A first offense can mean a fine between $100 and $250. A second offense often brings a $500 fine, points added to your license, and notifications sent directly to your insurance company. A third offense in some states can lead to license suspension. And if you cause an accident while distracted, even a minor one, the consequences multiply. In certain states, that can elevate the charge to reckless driving, which is a criminal offense. This is no longer about inconvenience. It's about your driving record and your legal standing. Here's how this plays out in real life. You're driving to an appointment. Your phone rings. Without thinking, you pick it up. An officer sees you and pulls you over. It's your second distracted driving citation in 2 years. You pay the fine. Points are added to your license. Your insurance company is notified and adjusts your premium upward. A few months later, you're stopped at a red light and adjust your GPS. The light turns green while you're still looking down. You roll forward and lightly tap the car ahead. No one is hurt, but because distraction is involved, fault is clear. Your insurance company raises your rates again. Now you're one violation away from serious license consequences. What started as small habits, repeated over time, has turned into a threat to your ability to drive at all. The rule that keeps you safe is simple and strict. If your vehicle is running, do not touch your phone. Set your navigation before you start driving. Use voice commands if your vehicle supports them. If you must check something, pull over safely, put the car in park, and then use your phone. That's the only situation where you're protected. Anything else leaves you exposed to penalties that build faster than most people expect. Now, all of these changes are serious on their own, but the fifth change explains why the consequences feel so severe, even when the mistakes seem small. The cost of mistakes has changed completely. A suspended license used to mean paying a reinstatement fee and moving on. Today, it often means higher insurance rates for 3 to 5 years, mandatory SR22 filings that can double your insurance costs, points that permanently affect your risk profile, and difficulty renting vehicles or being added to someone else's policy. And here's what most drivers don't realize. Once you're flagged in the system, you stay flagged. An insurance lapse, a medical review, a distracted driving citation, all of it becomes part of a permanent digital record that follows you. This is the real impact of automation. It makes enforcement efficient, but it also makes it unforgiving. There is no person reviewing your history and deciding you deserve a break because you've driven safely for decades. The system doesn't see context, it sees data. A missed deadline is a violation, a lapse is a risk indicator, a citation is a behavioral marker, and once those markers exist, they influence every decision that comes after, from insurance pricing to renewal scrutiny. States are trying to manage millions of drivers with limited staff and budgets, and automation is their solution. But when you combine automated enforcement with stricter rules and real-time data sharing, the risk of unintentional violations rises sharply. This is why so many people feel blindsided. The rules didn't change overnight, but the consequences did. Small administrative mistakes now trigger long-term financial and legal fallout. And without preparation, even careful drivers can find themselves fighting to regain privileges they assumed were secure. The good news is that once you understand how the system works, you can protect yourself. And that's where the action plan comes in, because there is a way to stay ahead of all 5 of these changes at once. Here's the action plan that protects you from all 5 of these changes. This isn't complicated, and it doesn't require legal help or special treatment. It requires awareness and preparation. These are 7 steps you can take this week to protect your license and your independence. First, check your license status and expiration date. Take your license out right now and look at it. If it expires in 2026, go to your state DMV website today and look up the renewal requirements that apply to your age. Do not assume you can renew the same way you did last time. Rules change quietly. Write down what's required and set a reminder 60 days before expiration. Second, schedule vision and medical exams early. If you wear glasses, get your eyes checked now, not when the DMV demands it. If you have a medical condition that could affect driving, talk to your doctor before a report is triggered. Early action gives you time and options. Waiting puts you on a deadline you didn't choose. Third, review your insurance payments. Log into your insurance account and confirm your policy is active. Make sure your payment method is current. If you're using a credit card, consider switching to a bank account. Cards expire, bank accounts don't. One failed payment is all it takes to start a chain reaction. Fourth, learn your state's distracted driving rules. Go directly to your DMV website and read them. Some states ban all handheld use. Others ban texting only. Many include red lights and stopped vehicles. Do not guess. Knowing the exact rule protects you far more than good intentions. Fifth, update your DMV contact information. Confirm that your mailing address, email, and phone number are correct. Most suspensions begin with a notice. If it goes to the wrong place, the suspension still happens. Sixth, set up automatic payments and reminders. Use AutoPay for insurance and registration. Set calendar alerts 30 days before every important deadline. Most phones allow recurring reminders. One reminder a month can save you years of consequences. And seventh, keep copies of everything. License renewal confirmations, insurance declarations, medical clearances, DMV letters. Create a simple folder at home and a digital folder on your phone. If there's ever a dispute, documentation is your protection. These rules aren't designed to take your independence away. They exist because states are trying to manage safety, liability, and limited resources at the same time. But the system doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards compliance. And the drivers who stay licensed are the ones who prepare before the deadline, not after the suspension. There are three things you need to remember from this video. First, automated systems apply penalties immediately. Grace periods are disappearing. You won't get multiple warnings. One missed requirement is enough. Second, if you're over 65, renewal rules are no longer automatic. Check your state's requirements early and prepare ahead of time. And third, small mistakes now have big consequences. A missed insurance payment, an ignored letter, or a distracted driving citation can lead to suspensions, higher insurance costs, and months of stress that could have been avoided. Driving is more than transportation. It's independence. It's getting to medical appointments, seeing family, and living life on your own terms. Staying informed is how you protect that freedom. If this helped you, subscribe so you don't miss future updates. These rules continue to change, and staying ahead of them matters. Leave a comment with your state, and I'll point you toward the specific rules that apply where you live. And if you know someone approaching license renewal, a parent, neighbor, or friend, share this with them. One informed decision can save years of consequences. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay compliant, and protect your independence.